Hello Linux fans. Today I want to talk to you about installing Linux Mint 22.2 onto a virtual machine in Oracle Virtualbox. So let me get things set up and then we'll be back for the demonstration. The first thing we have to do is from our Windows, in this case 11 desktop, we have to click on and open the VirtualBox program. Now they've made some new enhancements since the last version of VirtualBox, which makes it a lot easier to start a virtual machine. So we double click and we get the main opening screen for the Oracle VirtualBox Manager. Okay, now the first thing we're going to want to do is add a virtual machine. We're going to want to use the file that we downloaded from the Linux Mint website. I did it earlier today, Linux Mint 22.2. So we're going to take, so that is in my downloads folder. So what we're going to do, we're going to come up here and we're going to click on New. We're going to get this screen. So we're going to have the name of the machine. What do we want to name it? Well, we're going to name it what it is. Mint 22.2. Here's the system is going to keep the system folders. We're not going to touch that. But the ISO image, this is where we have to tell it where to go. This is the equivalent of the startup disk or the boot up disk in a regular physical machine. But in a virtual machine, we don't have a physical disk drive. So we use a virtual disk drive, which is basically an ISO file. We're going to click on Linux Mint 22.2. That's the most recent version. And so we have our ISO file spelled out here, the Linux Mint 22.2 Cinnamon 64-bit ISO, which should be in your downloads folder. It's going to be a Linux operating system. If you remember from the Linux course, Linux Mint is a subtype of Ubuntu. So you have Linux is the main OS, Ubuntu is the subtype, Mint we're not going to say it's our variation, but that's what we'll get because of the ISO file. Now in our case, you notice Finish is still grayed out and you have more stuff to do. That's for attended installation. We're going to kind of skip all of that right now, so we're just going to check this box here that says skip unattended installation. Okay, you see that it says, when checked, the unattended install is disabled for the selected ISO is mounted on the VM. So that's what we want. You also notice how Finish got ungrayed. So now that it's clickable, we're going to go ahead and click it. Okay, this is going to tell us all of the virtual statistics that the system is assigning it. That's sort of like a rendering of what the screen is going to look like. Okay, this here, the general, it's Mint 22.2, is the specific OS. It's an Ubuntu derivative, 64-bit. You got your base memory. Okay, this is all stuff that is virtually added by the software, which all has its hardware counterparts in the real machine, which we're sort of piggybacking on. So like with any Linux distro, what we will do is we will click Start. And what this will do is it will start the Linux process. Okay, now remember we're booting into the equivalent of a Linux live session using the virtual equivalent of a live CD. So we're going to click on Install Linux Mint. Okay, and we should get the Linux installer running because we want to run it off a virtual hard disk, not off a virtual USB. Now this is where it can take a long time, so don't get weirded out. Don't think there's something wrong. It takes time to do this. You start seeing this gibberish. Hey, Linux is famous for gibberish, okay? You know it's working when you start seeing Linuxy stuff, okay? Then you get a blank screen for a while. Again, relax. No big deal. It's just part of the Linux game, okay? You just wait it out. Okay, there's quite a bit of waiting. I just hope it doesn't make the video too long, so I'm going to try and talk throughout it so I could keep you engaged. You see how our mouse cursor appears? and it looks like a Linux mouse cursor, not a Windows mouse cursor. Now we gotta wait. Our Linux Mint logo shows up, and we see install Linux. This is our VM right here. It's not maximized yet, so we could still kind of move it around. Okay, but here it is. So we're gonna maximize it. Okay, and that gives us as big as we're gonna get our simulated Windows screen. You see, this is our equivalent to the start menu, our file system, but this is all the equivalent of running off a live USB on a physical machine. We want to run it off a live virtual drive, not a virtual USB. So we're going to click on Install Linux Mint, double click it. You should see our little cursor go into a round spinny thing. Doesn't spin very good on a VM, but it spins pretty good on a regular machine. So we wait. Again, this can take some time, so we just kind of have to wait. The Linux installer will come up. And here's where the rubber kind of meets the road. We're going to want to select English, and we're going to hit Continue. Let the installer do its thing. Again, we're going to want English, US. So we hit Continue. Let it do its thing. We want to install the multimedia codecs, because without them, we couldn't play anything. So if we want to play videos or watch videos or play music, we're going to need these codecs. We finalize our selection by again hitting Continue. And you see it's preparing Ubuntu drivers, because again, it's loading an Ubuntu derivative, but you'll see it'll come out mint. It's incredible. So we're going to be continuing here. It'll say this computer currently has no detected operating systems. What would you like to do? And of course, what we would like to do, since we have a blank virtual disk, because we're just setting it up now, is we want to erase disk and install Linux Mint. There's nothing to erase, but we want to install Linux Mint, and something else just doesn't quite meet our needs right now. So then we click Install Now. Okay, and then we watch the fun begin. If you continue, the changes listed below will be written to the disks. Otherwise, you will be able to make further changes manually. Okay, it has to rewrite the partition tables, because Linux, remember, needs what they call a swap partition and a main partition. So it's got to make two partitions. So what it's doing is it's going to take this one partition here, okay, and it's going to create two partitions. One, it's going to partition as what they call ESP. That we're not going to get into that right now, but it's the type of file format. And the other is going to be ext4, which is the basic Linux file format. This is exactly what we want. Heed the warning if we weren't on a blank drive, which we are, so that's okay. So we hit Continue. Okay, we now see our spinny tool come back, and here's where the wait begins. So it wants a little bit more information. Remember how when you install Windows, it's going to start out in Seattle time because the Windows headquarters is in Seattle? Well, the Linux headquarters isn't in Seattle. It's nowhere. It's all over. It's ubiquitous. So the Linux people chose New York as their default. I'm right now in Florida, which is the same time zone as New York, so I'm going to hit New York and continue. So here it wants to know your name. I'm just going to call it what it is. I'm going to call it Mint. Just, okay, for the fun of it. The machine's name is going to be Mint with Virtualbox annotated to it. The username is going to be, we're going to make that CTS, all lowercase, 2321, because that's what I use for my Linux course here at the college. The password, again, I use all lowercase, TECH, T-E-C-H. It's short, but we don't care. It's for education. I'm going to confirm it, T-E-C-H. I'm going to require it to log in, because log in automatically is bad security, really bad security. And encrypt my home folder. We don't need to do that for demo. This is a good demo degree of complexity right there. We hit continue. And let's see what we get. We get our little spinny thing, and it's starting to copy files. So I'm just going to kind of let it run a little bit, and we'll see what we get. Gives you a little slideshow here while it's working, so it could be interesting. I may edit this stuff out, or I may leave it in. I'm not sure yet. It depends how fast it goes and how much I talk. But it's installing, it's copying files. We see here. And you got a little progress bar. This is part 1 of the progress. You're going to see it kind of go back and then move forward again. That's just sort of how it works here in Linux land. Okay, you see you could browse the web. It gives you browsing software, Firefox, Netflix, YouTube. You can put Chromium on here. I got Edge for the web on my Linux machine, believe it or not. Firefox, Chrome, Opera. I mean, you can put all kind of stuff. I even have Brave on Linux. So Linux is great. You could almost put whatever browser you want on it, and then you could do whatever you want. Netflix, Sirius XM, whatever. It's still copying files. So we'll just kind of follow along with it as it does its thing. Okay, it's switched now to listen to music. Okay, Spotify I have, but Spotify is bad quality. I don't like Spotify. I like YouTube Music much better, or other services, but Spotify, I think the quality of the raw material is not that great. I got a really, good system at home. You got Rhythmbox, but you could download other players, VLC. VLC is good for videos too. It's still copying files. Again, you got to copy them off your virtual USB and get them onto the virtual system drive. It's all virtual, but still, it's got to copy files from one virtual device to another. Just like it would have to go from one virtual system drive to another. Here, you talk about watching movies. Here's what we talked about here. Celluloid, VLC. Could also do YouTube. So we'll let it run. Here you see it's doing other things. It's retrieving. All this stuff shows you're doing it right. You do not want to skip. You can, but it would mess up your install. So I highly recommend you do not skip. So we keep on going. You see installing language packs, detecting hardware, loading module. It does all of this. The installer does it automatically. It's wonderful. You used to have to do all of this manually. Now you just load it up and it works, especially Mint. Configuring hardware, installing system. Tells you everything it's doing. So unlike Windows. Communicating locales. Stay connected. You get internet apps. We've talked about this earlier in the installation. Get these here, plus a lot others. Look at all of that. How fast it's moving. And it keeps going. Now it's cleaning up after itself. Linux is great with cleaning up after itself. Windows, awful. Windows is not a good housekeeper. This I'm going to talk about a lot in another video. Production software, LibreOffice. Get all the capabilities of Microsoft Office for free. And I'm going to do a bunch of videos just on LibreOffice. So I'm looking forward to that. Okay, it's installing Metacodex. It's copying logs. This is the last thing it does. It's copy the installation logs. And we are done. So we can restart now. We hit the button. And our system will reboot. Now what I'm going to do as soon as it reboots, because I don't want to do anything else because I want to make additional videos using the same machine. So what we're going to do, remove installation medium, press enter. It's now going to reboot itself. You see how it's rebooting? It gave you a BIOS with the F12. Now it goes to the bootloader. Get the Linux Mint logo. It's a lot quicker now because it's installed. It's not running off the virtual USB anymore. Okay, at this point I'm going to stop it so that we can do more work on it. We want to save its state, so we're going to hit Machine, Take Snapshot. It's going to be called Snapshot 1. We OK it, and we see up here, it's taking it. Okay, now we're going to come up here to Machine, and basically we're going to pause. Okay, because we want to keep everything right where we are. Okay, when we come over here to close, the Virtualbox is going to ask us what do we want to do, and what we're going to do is power off the machine because we have snapshot 1. And click OK. And there we go. We're all ready to go. So now we can just exit out of here. And we're done for now.